Beautiful introduction there. Thank you for joining us, fans from all over the world. Certainly, it's an honor and a privilege to be here reviewing the first ODI between the West Indies and England, and that happened in North Sound, Antigua and Barbuda at the Sir Vivian Richard Stadium there in the beautiful Twin Island of Antigua. It was a very, very good match. It was a rain um, disturbed game nonetheless, but the West Indies, as was expected, came out and gave a good account of themselves. And we are here to talk about the victory by West Indies last night and also to look ahead to tomorrow's game, rather to Saturday game, where the West Indies will once again challenge England for the right for the series. No doubt England will be looking to hit back on Saturday, but the West Indies aim will be to finish them off on Saturday and to go on to Barbados to complete what will be the first 3-0 whitewash for some time in favor of the West Indies. It would be a remarkable achievement if they were able to do that. I have along with me, as per usual, newly Cricket Hall of Famer, Mr. Dennis Eaties from Southern California, and he's a match analyst with us, and we are grateful that he's able to join us today again. We also have the Honorary Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame with us, Mr. Dale Brown. He's also a consultant with us here at West Indies Cricket Development Academy. Gentlemen, West Indies won last night. Persons are saying that it's an England team that is in transition. But if West Indies had not win last night, you know that the saying would be it's an England team that is in transition, so we should have beat them. Um, England was here last year with a full strength team and was still bamboozled by the West Indies 2-1 in that series. So would it be a difference, Mr. Heath, if the big name household players would have been here last night? No matter the rankings that West Indies are in and how down they are, whenever we play England, it always seems that it brings out the best in us. Was you surprised last night by the West Indies victory over England?
Junior, welcome. Thank you once again for the invitation, and I say hello to the viewers and listeners out there to the West Indies Cricket Development Academy TV program, and a good afternoon to Dale Brown out there in his abode there in the East Coast of the United States. To look at your question, Junior, England certainly missed Livingstone, Duckett, Brooks trio. In the past several ODI matches, both have dominated. In the Australia series, they dominated the batting, and a series trio such as those here in the islands could certainly have given the West Indies a much harder time. Their bowling was also missing Cars and Smith, but they bowled well in the Australia series in England just recently completed. So I am not surprised that England struggled somewhat. Their first six batters, 1 to 6, came up with 18, 19, 17, 27 runs. Against the West Indies bowler, especially Jayden Seales, economy 2.75 in 8 overs with 2 wickets, 22 runs. Now, if you recall, during our previous discussion, we were somewhat critical of Jayden Seales' last performance in Sri Lanka, and we expected quite likely that there is that distinct possibility that he would have been possibly left out of this team. However, he came back to prove us very much wrong in his performance today, because an economy rate in 8 overs of 2.75 says that he has certainly found whatever was missing out there in Sri Lanka. Equally, Moti, not that we're surprised, Moti's 4 wickets for 41 runs in 10 overs was again on top of his game with an economy rate of 4.1. And Matthew Ford, 2 wickets, Alzari grabbing the 2 tail end wickets, showed that the West Indies, in the way they utilize their bowlers, did very, very well indeed. And even Ruston Chase, although he did not pick up any wicket, his economy rate of 4 pretty much mirrored the economy rate of Gudakesh Moti. So I'm not surprised that West Indies won the match, because when we come to the batting end of it, there was Evan Lewis auditioning, I should say, for that permanent position in the West Indies squad, and no doubt sending a message to those IPL selectors that he thinks that he would like to take a look at the IPL next summer. Back to you, Mr. Codlin.
Absolutely. Thank you for your thoughts, Hall of Famer Dennis E. Mr. Brown, West Indies, from a West Indian perspective, what was expected of them was to go there yesterday, do the needful, execute the plan that Darren Sammy brought about, and execute it in such a way that in the end they get victory. By winning the toss and electing to bowl first, based on several ODIs that play at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, the team that batted second naturally go on to win the game. The captain Shea Hope won the toss. It fell in his favor. He decided that he was going to bat last. West Indies, at times when they bat first, they seem really to not get where they are to get. Do you think while this series is important for us to win, it's important also for the West Indies team that is now building? It's a 3-year plan towards the 2027 World Cup. Do you think they should have batted first, just really to see where they are and to give themselves an opportunity to restrict England, to bowl them out? Because we have seen last year that West Indies batted first and restrict England a few times, and building towards a World Cup now, we need to have the basis cover. So while the statistic is in favor of the team that is batting second, do you think that Hope should relax himself a bit and not look too much into what would have happened in the previous 5 ODIs that play at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium and batted second, just to prove batted first, just to prove a point that we can play the game at any position and still beat the opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Codlin. And again, I'm very happy to be here participating in this forum with Mr. Heath, Hall of Famer, newly minted. My thoughts on that, Mr. Codlin, is that especially the first game of a series, it is most important to win that game. And most teams, I believe, are successful when they are chasing because it's easier when you know your target and know what at what run rate you are required to win the game, to score at to win the game. So from that point, in the after winning, if they win the first two matches and then the third game comes up, then you can say, let us try it this way. But I think especially for the first two matches, if things fall in your favor, you have to press on that gas and defeat the teams that you are supposed to defeat in a disheartening manner so that they don't think that they can beat you. So that's my basic thought about winning the toss and inserting England. Because if, as you correctly said earlier, if we had done that for argument's sake and lost the game, nobody would care about why we put them in first. The fingers would be pointed and people would be lambasting the West Indies for losing to an inexperienced England team.
Absolutely. Point well taken. Wrong insert there. Going now. Absolutely. This is what we need. Hall of Famer Eat. England losing the toss to the West Indies. The viewers can see it on their screen while we talk. England losing the toss to the West Indies. Their captain, Leon Livingstone, 48, and Sam Curran, 37, Bethel, 27, Jocks, 19. Just looking now, I'm gonna kind of shift things to the West Indies bowling, uh, going to the West Indies bowling. When you look at the bowling by West Indies, um, no, that's the England bowling. Hold on. Having a bit of difficulty, but we'll get it pretty soon. Yes. When we look at the West Indies bowling, Goody Kishmoti, 4 for 41, and Seals 2 for 22, Azari Joseph 2 for 46, Ford 2 for 48. But looking at the opening overs of the game when Matthew Ford and Jaden Seals was asked to open the bowling, it was really from that standpoint that England realized that it's not a game that they can really run away with. Jaden Seals had his struggles in Sri Lanka, as we rightfully pointed out the last time we were here. The question is, the messaging from the coaching staff to Jaden Seals onto the entire squad that was beaten badly in Sri Lanka, the confidence that the coaching staff is showing. How much do you credit the performance of Jaden Seals yesterday to Darren Sammy, James Franklin, and the rest of the management staff for having the confidence that they showed in this young man with a lot of talent, lot of potential, but just might have gotten it wrong in Sri Lanka?
Well, it's good to see that, SEALs have taken the message seriously. Obviously, after that diabolical performance in that Sri Lanka series, it's very, very likely that he was spoken to by the coaches and he took it to heart and did exactly what was required of him. And that is, he came out knowing that perhaps there are fans out there, as we discussed in our previous segment, who thought that his performance back there in Sri Lanka in that final match of the series suggests that perhaps he could be a candidate to carry the water and the tower. But give him credit, he stood up, listened to the advice that I'm sure would have been given to him by the coaches, and he came back with what is a very, very strong performance. And to see an economy rate of 2.7 from Jaden Seals, it almost reminds us of his performance in the Test match series in which he dominated so well previously. So I'm happy to see that in this particular game, he came back and demonstrated that he's ready and willing. And of course, he also had the backup from Matthew Ford when Matthew Ford was there, because Ford was bowling quite economically. One or two chances could have, had it gone the other way, might have made a difference. But nonetheless, Ford bowled equally well, and Seals took the message to heart and gave a performance which could be classified almost as a performance of a lifetime.
Absolutely. When we look at the performance, keeping you here for a bit longer, Mr. Yeet, when we look at the performance of Archer, which is not readily on our screen, nevertheless, Leon Livingstone 1 for 32 from his 5.5 overs, and Adil Rashid 1 for 50 from his 7th over. The pitch in North Sound, Antigua, is conducive to spin bowling. It doesn't have enough turn as we have seen in Sri Lanka, but it is a pitch that is more readily to spin than to fast bowling. Adil Rashid, from his 7 overs, 50 runs, explained that.
Well,
Bear in mind that Adil Rashid is one of the most experienced spinners going around in world cricket, but was taken apart by a resurging Evan Lewis. Explain his lackluster performance last night for the viewers.
I suspect strongly, Junior, that Adil Rashid's performance was more influenced by the weather condition rather than the pitch itself, or his lack of, his lack of performance. The ball is wet. It is heavy when it comes back from being struck out in the outfield, certainly from all that damp. Adil would not have been able to get the turn and the spin that he wanted to. And of course, to come up on a batter such as Evan Lewis in his performance is such that it was nowhere near being able to master. Rashid could not master the conditions. And of course, Lewis took full advantage of his inability to do with the ball as he normally would on a very dry, normal surface under those kind of playing conditions. So I suspect that it may not be the same next time round, weather allowing. And so I definitely expect that Rashid will do much better, but we know that Lewis is on the rise. So if he comes up against Lewis again, it may well be that his performance will not come off on top. But once more, I think Rashid's performance had to have been influenced tremendously, not for his benefit, because of the weather condition under which he was playing yesterday.
Thank you for your thoughts, Hall of Famer Dennis E. Honorary Secretary Mr. Dale Brown, we get the England chart before us at the moment. Archer from his 5 overs, 2 maidens, 21 runs, an economy rate of 4.2 runs, 4.20 runs per over. Turner, 5 overs, no maiden, 26 runs, an economy rate of 5.2 runs per over. Adil Rashid, 7 overs, 50 runs, 1 wicket, an economy rate of 7.1 runs per over. Sam Curran, 2 overs from him, 13 runs, no wicket in an economy rate of 6.50 runs per over. The captain, Leon Livingstone, 5.5 overs, as we have said earlier, 32 runs with 1 wicket, an economy rate of 5.49 runs per over. And Jacob Bettel, his 1 over went for 12 runs. Archer and Turner combined together bowl a tremendous opening 7 over, but Brandon King and Evan Lewis was able to withstand them. Articulate for the viewers what went in favor of what went in favor of Evan Lewis and Brandon King, bearing in mind that the conditions were suited for swing. The ball was swinging all over the place like they were in England, but our 2 opening batters withstood them. And, and I would put it down to this is the reason why we can speak of a victory for West Indies. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, thanks again. Yes, sir. We, as you intimated, had an excellent partnership of 118 between King and Lewis. And that early period, survival in that early period was crucial. King struggled, he struggled during that period, but he survived. And that was very key. And Lewis, on the other hand, totally dominated the partnership. Archer bowled extremely well. He bowled 2 maiden overs. And for the West Indies, we had a total of 1 maiden over by all our bowlers combined. But he somehow managed to bowl 2 maidens and bowl very well without any luck or anything, but that's the way the game is. So it was very, very crucial for King and Lewis to survive, and they did survive. But on top of surviving, Lewis managed to dominate during that period of time, and it is evidenced by the way he dominated that opening partnership with King of 118 runs. So that, I believe, laid the foundation for a relatively easy and, of course, successful chase.
Did Leon Livingstone use his bowlers properly? 25.5 overs, 157 runs in those overs, extras of 8. Did he mix up his bowlers? Did he use them in an effective way? It's a sorry looking bowling chart on your screen, viewers. They were taken apart by Evan Lewis and Brandon King to begin with, and then was finished off by Casey Carty and the captain Shea Hope. The question, Mr. Brown, did the England captain use his bowlers properly along with himself? He looked threatening and penetrating in his 5 overs that he bowled, Leon Livingstone, that is. The conditions, despite wet, was he to use Archer a lot more and Turner a lot more, going for the kill and not pull them out when he did?
Thank you again, Mr. Codlin. I will say this, not knowing the background work with England, but um, fitness and endurance would be a concern. And watching Jafra Archer through the years, he has never been really one to put in a lot of work in an inning. And he has struggled with injuries and has had major endurance issues. So I'm not surprised that he was limited to those 5 overs. I really was not surprised with him. If you look at the rest of their bowling attack, with the exception of Rashid, the rest, and Koran to some degree, those are their two experienced bowlers. But Koran, I always believe, bowls way too short. He has been in the England setup, and I suspect he's still in it because of the shortage of players with so many persons not being available. And as I said, just to answer your question, Jafra Archer is never one to bowl a lot of overs. He is not used in that manner because of the concerns with his fitness and the fact that he breaks down quite easily and is somewhat injury prone with different types of injury. So I think that Livingston really had his hands tied in how much he could use, particularly Archer.
Absolutely. Brandon King, 30 from 56 delivery, was bamboozled by Josh Turner and Archer. Lewis, 94, going for the 100, but holding out in the end. Hall of Famer Dennis Heath, we have talked offline the last time about the last 8 innings of Brandon King, and it wasn't a good look. And against this attack from England, one of the best attack in world cricket, um, Java Archer, the young Turner that is just coming. You can't get it any better than it is at the moment. Is King doing justice? Is the shine the purple patch in his form that we have witnessed over the last 2 years? Is it now going away from him? And what would you expect and the advice would you give him? Because he's a class act, he's a very good player, but you can clearly see at the moment he's struggling against this attack, and it's an attack that we will be facing in 3 years' time. These bowlers will be more seasoned, more ready, and more in tune and know more about Brandon King. What's your advice to King at this point in his career?
I see absolutely no reason why West Indies should panic with regards to Brandon King. He has shown that he has what it takes to be a reliable, steady opener. And although he struggled against the Sri Lankan in the Sri Lankan series, I still say that his patience yesterday, making sure that he stayed with Lewis, was very important, because even though he himself was not extremely productive, by just being there while his partner took the brunt of the attack, that tells me that that was good, because you only have to look at the opening partnership, as was pointed out by Dale, 118 for the very first wicket. That tells me that Brandon King has nothing much to worry about right now, because I do not see another particular opener coming to displace him, short of an injury occurring to take him out of the side. I think Brandon King is likely to be a fixture for a long time to come, along with Evan Lewis, as things stand right now.
Yeah, and it's important for us to let the viewers know It's not that we have anything against Brandon King, but it's our duty to highlight these things. Brandon King lost 8 innings in ODI cricket, 15 from 23 deliveries, a duck, 35 from 44 deliveries, 17 from 9 deliveries, 1 from 3 deliveries, 14 from 25 deliveries, 16 from 18 deliveries, 16 from 19 deliveries. Yesterday, 30 from 56 deliveries. Um, Hall of Famer secretary, is this a worry for Brandon King? What can he do to remedy these numbers?
Brandon, those numbers that you have just shared with us, it gives an indication that his T20 form does not carry over to the ODI format. And it might just be a change in mindset because in the T20 format, you go all out from the beginning. In this format, you are required to be more patient, manipulate the balls, rotate the strikes, and bat out, especially the power play, and give your team a solid start, while at the same time maintaining a good run rate. And he's not able in this format to do that. But I believe, especially yesterday, given his performance, I expect to see him improve because it should have boosted his confidence now to see that he could survive a pace bowler of the quality of Archer and the testing conditions under which they had batted. He survived it and laid the foundation for his team to score a very easy victory. So I'm looking going forward now for him to show the rewards and the fruits of his labor yesterday. Because if he doesn't, the same way we are looking at his stats, there are others that are looking at those stats and will say to him, okay, now, Brandon, you've got to produce more than this.
Definitely.
And I believe this is a series for him to do that.
Definitely. It will be the series. We have Gudi Kishmoti, Evan Lewis reaching 2,000 runs in ODI cricket last night. Just a little thought on Lewis, Mr. Brown, and what can we expect from Lewis? Certainly, if he dominates in the next 2 ODIs, um, there's no way back for Alec Attorneys, at least to open the batting for West Indies, if you will.
Definitely. Lewis's performance is really, we all know he was a wonderful player. We know he's a very good player. The question was commitment, consistency, and he had removed himself from the limelight for a few years.
3 years.
And he has really come for 3 years. And he has really come back with a bang right now. He's in a purple patch, as we would call it. We won't even consider him not playing outside of being injured or something else happening to him where he withdraws services. He's a sure pick right now, and you would have to take a serious nosedive in form for we to even consider anything else with him. That being said, we have to give credit to his resiliency to come back because not everyone was really enthused about him coming back and just being fast forwarded into the team. I don't think so. So he got his chance. If we remember, he didn't start out against Sri Lanka in the ODI series. And once he got that chance, he made good use of it, batted very well. Now he comes back and has continued that rich vein of form. One thing I wouldn't say didn't like, but it was the awareness after batting so well and doing so well. I believe he had not so much the personal milestone of the century, but I would have loved to see him take West Indies across the line
Yeah,
and win that game because all you need is one wicket to fall, and there's no guarantee that we'll make the other 15 or whatever amount of runs that was needed to be made. The only guarantee you have is when you win that game, then it is guaranteed. But prior to that, it is not guaranteed. And I would have loved to see him just bring the team across the line. But I'm not going to be harsh with him. But as I said, would just love to see him being aware. Getting the century is one thing, not too worried about that. But he was trying to get the century in a stylish manner by hitting the ball out of the ground and moving from 94 to 100. And that would have been great, just like he did in the last game. But it doesn't always work out for you. And you have to be mindful of the game situation and make sure that your team wins because that's the whole objective of the game.
absolutely. Um, Miss Hall of Famer Dennis Heath, uh, 105 days ago, almost another 100 um, here on Thursday in North Zone. Your thoughts on Evan Lewis? 2,000 runs being achieved now in ODI cricket for the West Indies. When he made the 50 last night, you could see he wanted to go on to 100, so it wasn't a big celebration. But his mindset, he's a guy that been through a lot, and a lot of things was said about him, and maybe some were said for the right reason, but nevertheless, he's back now. Your thoughts on his performance, the way he went about things last night. From he came in, you knew he wanted to be there.
Oh, Evan Lewis deserved another century but fell short performance, and that suggests really and truly that after the disappointment of the years between 20, up to 2020,
It's
when
been
he
3 years since he played his last ODI.
right after that performance back then, he certainly awoke, if you wish, in the recently completed CPL, because those of us who saw his performance in the CPL knew that he had had a rebirth, and his performance then was what pushed him forward to get that call from coach Darren Sammy. And he has proven that he has now taken on that mantle, and he has decided that this place is where he wants to be, playing for the West Indies, opening their attack. His performance, apart from the early one in the T20 in Sri Lanka, was not something that I'm sure he would have been proud of on that one. But since then, he shows that he's a thinking player, a player who had the opportunity to sit down and look at his shortcomings and decided where he failed. He listened to the coaches, and now we see a man who has certainly come back to form and who now looks as if he has cemented a place in the West Indies side going forward. I expect that in every ODI and T20 matches between now and 2027, the name Evan Lewis will certainly be there. And without a doubt, come 2025, I'm sure IPL will be knocking at his door because he has shown that he has the temperament, he has the skills, and he's a thinking player who knows how to take on bowlers and produce runs when it is important. So I say welcome back.
Thank you for your thoughts, Mr. Heath, and for your contribution today. Also to the Honorary Secretary, Mr. Dale Brown, for his thoughts and contribution today. And we hope to come back on the next game will be on Saturday And so we'll be back on Sunday evening to review the second ODI between the West Indies and England. That will take place in North Sound Antigua again before they move on to Barbados for the final ODI and the first of 5 T20 there in Barbados as well. And so from all of us here at West Indies Cricket Development Academy, that's all we have for you for this evening. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Remember to like this stream. And once again, thank you so much for choosing this channel for your cricket update and for coverage of the England tour of West Indies 2024. Hall of Famer Dennis C, thank you for being here. And Honorary Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Mr. Dale Brown, thank you for being here. And we leave you with scenes of West Indies players now as we say goodbye until Sunday.